Well, call the meeting to order then. I've been designated. So, we will, you want to do intros as we get down here closer?
That'd be fine.
Okay.
Sure. Yep.
Has everybody been able to look over the agenda, comfortable with it? All right, and then, are we good with the agenda for today?
Yes. I first and second myself.
Motion?
Yes, motioned, carried.
All right, sounds good. Do we need a second for that? Do we have a second?
We do.
We do, okay.
Yes.
Well,
As my first action, I'm happy to second.
great, okay. All right, so that's what we'll roll with today. And then for the minutes from November 12th, I have a motion to approve those. Everything look good?
Motion to approve.
Mm-hmm. And a second?
Second.
All right. All in favor, the three of us?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, great. Okay, so we are on to introductions. Let's start there. Okay.
Sure.
Take it from there, maybe Jody, I guess.
Sure. So we have a new member joining us today, a new board member. We will have another one. She was just appointed this morning at the county board, so I don't anticipate she will be here, but I think we'll just go around. I'll start introductions and pass around. And I'm Jody Edstrom, the library director. Most of you know me, but welcome to our new board member. I'll let you introduce yourself.
Thank you. So I'm Ern Bodvarsen, representing Chanhassen and Victoria, I believe. And so I'm very happy to be serving on the board. I was really pleased to be asked by Commissioner Anderson, who is a fellow Rotarian. I love libraries, and I've come from a long career in higher education. I recently retired from actually 40 years serving in higher education. I taught economics for about 25 years, many of those years up at St. Cloud State. And then I became a dean, first a dean at St. Cloud State and then at 3 other institutions. So it goes without saying that libraries have been a very important part of my career and my life, both as a teacher and as an administrator. So this will be fun for me. I'll learn a lot, and I look really forward to working with all of you.
Wonderful. Well, excited to have you here. I'm not a board member. My name is Alyssa Nelson. I work at the City of Victoria as the Assistant City Manager. I've been at the city for about 5 years now in various different capacities, but in the last 2.5 years in my current role, I look over the administrative services section, so really focus on service delivery, and when you come into City Hall, making sure that all of your questions are answered, as well as when you look on the website and things like that. IT, facilities, city clerk's office and elections, and then last 2 years took it over Parks and Rec and the Rec Center. So it's been a blast, and I'm excited to be here.
Hi everyone, I'm Serena Ethier. I'm an adult services librarian, primarily in Laconia, and also the team chair for the adult services team.
I'm Stacy Lindquist. I'm a board member. I've been on the board not quite a year. I think next month will be a year, and I represent Norwood Young America.
I sometimes blank out on these and forget my title because it's just so irrelevant. So I don't have a title here, which is great, so I don't have to remember it. I'm Dee McDonald. I represent Waconia, and I think the Western cluster, I believe, as they're organized. So been on for a little over a year, actually. I think I started 2 falls ago. So time flies when you're having fun and you're talking about libraries. So yeah.
I'm Jim Wygant, and I'm a very important member, not of the board, but of the public. So when you have a time for the public to speak, I'm it.
I'm Kevin Spencer. I'm the branch manager for the Chaska Library.
All right. So we've got introductions. Typically, we will have somebody from the area or the location that we're at give us an update on the city or the library or the area or whatever. Not always, but it's super informative and fun to hear what's going on. So we have somebody from the city of Victoria, so I guess we'll just roll right through the agenda and and keep the good times going.
I
So,
love it.
yeah.
All right. Well, like I said, my name is Alyssa Nelson. I'm not even sure if I actually said that during my introduction, but if I didn't, now you know. I actually grew up in Carver County. My parents live out in Hamburg on a little hobby farm there, and I grew up in the Norwood Library System when it was the old Norwood Library, doing all the summer reading programs and getting the prizes. It was like beloved my childhood in the summertime. I just loved going to that new location, or the old location. I will say the new location is amazing. I shouldn't probably call it the new location because it's been quite a while, but in my mind it's still relatively new and fantastic.
Yeah.
But you know, I'll get past that. And I also was a cherished member of the Waconia old location, the really old location, which I don't even know if it's a real estate office or a state farm right now, but if anyone remembers where it used to be, hung a lot of times during after school programs at that spot. But anyways, you're probably just more interested in what's going on in town. So a couple of things that I wanted to bring before you just to talk about Victoria, and I will say I can keep this pretty informal, so if you have questions or if there's something that's on your mind about Victoria, do not hesitate to ask. That's what I'm here for. That's what we're all here for, so don't hesitate to interrupt or anything like that. But the first thing I wanted to highlight is just the growth that is happening, and that's growth happening throughout Carver County. We're seeing it in pretty much every municipality that we've talked to, but specifically for Victoria, what we've noticed is just an increased number of growth. When we looked at our 2020 census, we found that Victoria grew 43% in the last 10 years. Yes, so we're seeing the growth visually as well as you drive south towards County Road 10. Hey, Patrick. As you drive south towards County Road 10, you'll see more and more developments come up. And that's been a primary focus of where our development is going, is south into Lake Town Township. Now, we are getting close to the railroad tracks. If you're familiar with the south end of town, so far Victoria has always had this huge hurdle, and it's been the railroad tracks. How do we get utilities past that point? How do we get our infrastructure past that point? And this upcoming year, we'll hit that milestone by able to bring utilities past the railroad tracks, south of the railroad tracks. And we're going to see two big developments that will be coming through shortly. They're both what's considered preliminary plat. So we have sketch plat, which is just kind of high, up in the sky, what we're thinking about. Preliminary plat is more set in stone, but a lot of modifications can be made. And then it's final plat, and that's when more things are finalized. And once it's set for that, then it goes into construction. So we're in preliminary. That middle ground stays for two big developments. The first is what we call Victoria Ridge. We have about 140 something townhomes that are coming in just south of the railroad tracks, as well as an apartment complex. The cool thing about that apartment complex as of today is it is going to have 20% affordable housing, which will have, in addition to 80% market rate housing. That's one of the first type of affordable housing options that we've had in Victoria so far. We've been working with the CDA as well as the Urban Land Institute to really identify, what can we do to bring more affordable homes into this area of Carver County, and it's been a challenge. When we talk to developers, they say, you need better transportation options, you need grocery stores, you need more jobs, and then you talk to grocery stores or developers on that side, and they'll say, you need more people. So we're trying to get this balance of what's that, Goldilocks solution, and hopefully this will get us to a place where at least it's starting to get us there. The second development that's happening is more commercial based. South of the railroad tracks is anticipated to be mostly commercial with some light industrial, which is going to be exciting. Downtown has primarily been our commercial area solely, which means we're primarily just residential tax base. So we're going to extend our tax base with the South Growth area. The first development that's coming through is a Quick Trip, which will be pretty exciting for this, for us. It's going to be one of their larger Quick Trips, not quite what you might see on an interstate that takes semis, but it is going to have one of those full grocery store kind of esque areas. So as you know, if you're familiar with Victoria, we hear a lot about not having a grocery store, not having that option for quick food. So hopefully this will get us to, again, that point where eventually we'll need a grocery store, but it will help fill people's needs today. So that's pretty exciting for us. The second area that we're growing is downtown. And if many of you, it sounds like, came from the west side, you probably noticed that there's an apartment complex coming in right in our middle of, or right in the west end of our downtown, kind of bookending that section of our downtown area. That's about 125 residential unit apartment complex, and it's going to have 8,700 commercial square feet on the first floor. So it's going to be a huge expansion of our downtown. We're extremely excited. If you look at it, it almost looks like it's done and ready to go. There's still quite a bit more that needs to be done for that apartment complex. And they do have a broker in-house that they're working on to hopefully fill the commercial space as soon as it comes to be. Now with that, we do know that parking is always an option or a hard option when it comes to downtown. They are providing an additional 61 parking spaces for downtown. And currently we have about 300 and something. So if you think 60 additional spaces will be immensely beneficial for our downtown space. The other section is, if you keep going farther west, we have our downtown west area. Downtown west, if anyone is not familiar with what we call downtown west, the city probably about 20 years ago land swapped some property south of 10 for 13.5 acres, just kind of northeast of the Dairy Queen and the daycare right over here off of Highway 11, if people know where I'm talking about. I feel like I should pull out a map or something. Oh, I do have something here. Sometimes I'm prepared. I know this is really hard to see, but we have this A, that's kind of where that section is. It's just north of the Dairy Queen intersection there. And you
There's a
might have even
park back
saw
there too,
there's
right?
clearings, huh?
There's a park back there too, right?
There's Carver Park Reserve that's
Yeah.
right behind it, so we're kind of
Yeah.
adjacent to Carver Park Reserve
Okay.
in that location. So it's 13.5 acres, it's all natural at this point, but it's always been geared to be an extension of downtown. Obviously, it's been 20 years in the making of different visioning, of different exercises, of people thinking about developing, and then nothing comes to fruition. But we are starting phase 1 of that project. There's about 140 unit apartment complex that's just starting groundbreaking just recently. If you head back home that way and it's not too dark out, you'll see that land is being cleared back into that area. So they're planning on starting that relatively soon. It's going to take about 18 months that we're thinking for it to be done. It doesn't have commercial base in it, but hopefully, as we talked about, that Goldilocks area of you need people for really the commercial development to grow. Hopefully that will bring in the phase 2 commercial areas that we're looking for. The other piece to phase 1 that I'm extremely excited about is that Parks and Rec person. Is that it's going to have a 1.5 acre green space. We're calling it our central green. So it's going to have parking, but really kind of be that similar to what we think about Bayfront Park right over here, is that communal gathering space for our downtown, really anchoring that downtown area to Carver Park Reserve, because it will be right outside of that reserve. There'll be a trail and a boardwalk that we're looking at for that section, but then it also overlooks Steiger Lake, which will be fantastic for us. So looking at phase 2, we're also making headway on that already. We did an RFP, a request for proposal. City Council issued that in the summer. We had 3 different people that applied or submitted their proposals for what potentially downtown west phase 2 and 3 could look like. Obviously there's a lot more behind the scenes that needs to go on before anything is finalized, but throw us some of your ideas. What are you thinking about if you would have developed this space? And the developer that we talked to and City Council ultimately selected is one that really meets the vision of what we've heard for Victoria. We did a survey for downtown west and just downtown overall with our residents a couple of years ago, and really what we heard from that is that people are wanting, if there is going to be a downtown west, they want it to be roughly the same as what we have currently downtown, which is that downtown charm, but also really having an activated space, places that you're connecting with nature, that you have park integrated within the businesses, that you have adequate seating areas, that public infrastructure that really creates these moments of delight. So when we brought this to, or when this developer brought his proposal in, this is exactly what we found. He was bringing in activated spaces, mixed use of residential as well as commercial. Like I said, we have a long way to go, but it's something that we're really excited about, and hopefully we'll get more information and more progress as we keep moving forward. The other big project that we did this year is our fire station project. I don't know if anyone's familiar with that or heard about it. Our fire station is right on the other side of Highway 5 if you're heading east of here. It's connected to our water treatment plant. It was built in 1982, so it's quite a number of years old, and it's gone past capacity of what we're currently needing for Victoria today. Like I said, you know, a couple years ago we grew 43% in the last 10 years, so we need to make sure our public infrastructure is keeping up with, you know, our community needs, especially on that emergency response section. We want to make sure our response times are within that 10 to 8 minute mark, so no matter where you live or where an accident happens in Victoria, that you're going to have a full service of whatever you need in that instance, in your house, on your road, next to your car, within that 8 to 10 minute mark, which is average for fire departments, and that's what our goal is. So knowing 8 to 10 minutes is our goal, we did procure land by Holy Family. We used a study with the U of M 2-3 years ago. Some students did a dissertation and looked at, you know, what our goals were, where our future growth area was going to be as soon as we annex all of Laketown that we're supposed to be annexing, what you see on the 7 on the north side of town, any changes to transportation, and they said, you know, this is going to be the general area for the best location for your fire station. And it happened to be that Holy Family was in that location. And we worked with a partnership with them. We purchased about 6 to 7 acres from them. If you're familiar with that site, it's part of their soccer field. And it has some trees and brush on it, but majority of it's the soccer field. It's just south of our water tower. And this last year, all we've been doing is working on design for that project. So been pretty involved in that team. We spent well over a year, I think we started in January last year actually, meeting every week for 3 hours, just going through design. What does this fire station need? What does it need to be full of? What do we need to think for the next 40 years, not just the next 10 years? What do we need to include in it? So the fire station that is currently proposed is about 3,700 square feet, 37,000 square feet, my apologies. It has 6 apparatus bays, so that includes space for 2 double bays, so then you can have multiple vehicles in those 2 sections of bays. It does even allow space for future expansion of a 3rd bay if we ever need something like that, a 3rd double bay. Living quarters for eventual that need. In addition, even if we don't go full-time fire staff, it's still nice to have some living quarters if we do like duty crews that we're rotating in people, just to make sure our response times keep up. We have staff areas. We'll bring our building department and our building safety area over there. We will have our CSO, our community safety officer, housed out of there, as well as our partnership with the Carver County Sheriff's Office. They'll have a space in that section. We'll also have a large community room, which will double as our community room for rentals, as well as our EOC, so our Emergency Operations Center, which will be nice. Our current fire station doesn't necessarily allow for adequate space for our EOC, even though it's designated. We don't have many spaces for offices, if any at all. And then for this new room, we'll also have, or new space, we'll have a decontamination room, which is probably on our firefighter side, the most exciting piece for us as the health and safety of our firefighters. Since 1982, there's been an immense number of studies on just preventing cancer and other sort of diseases when it comes to being in fire service. Our current operations, how they currently work, is that they have lockers that are right next to the fire trucks in the bay area. So that means all the exhaust, all the smoke, all the contaminants pretty much leak right back into those clean clothes that they might have washed 10 minutes ago, and they're sitting there, and then you put them on your skin, which is our largest organ, and it absorbs all that contamination that has been building up in that clothing. So what we'll have in this new station is what's called different zones. Our architect for the fire station, they specialize in fire departments, so that's pretty nice, and they do this thing where it's called a red zone, a yellow zone, and a green zone. So our green zone is kind of our lobby area, that community room, our staffed areas. The yellow zone is kind of that in between, things that might be getting cleaned, or showers, decontamination, some blockers. And then that red zone is our apparatus bays, you know, where that heavy equipment is that you necessarily can't get cleaned or can't get cleaned enough. So we have this separation between our spaces that makes sure that, you know, once you leave a specific space, you're hopefully getting away from any of the contamination that might be happening. In addition, then we build our HVAC based on that. So we're obviously not going to be pulling in air from the red area to the green areas and vice versa. We're actually circulating air from green to yellow to red. So that'll be pretty exciting. We are starting construction. We did award bids, $3 million under budget this last December. And construction will begin this spring, and then hopefully we'll be moving in 2026. Thoughts, questions, anything else?
Is your fire department primarily volunteer or is?
Oh, it's a great question. Yes, primarily paid on-call volunteer. We do have 2 full-time positions. We have a fire chief, and then 2 years ago we hired our first assistant or deputy fire chief. And they're both Victoria residents, which is wonderful. The other project that I just want to bring to your attention, although I'm sure you all have heard, is the Arboretum Area Transportation Plan, which is the large Highway 5 corridor project that Carver County is leading. It's just received full funding. We did receive a federal award, Federal Rural Award is what it was called, that issued, I think it was $25 additional million, but just put us on the threshold of being 100% fully funded. That project's about $150 million. So it was just pulling pieces from different grants and different areas to make sure that we can get this fully going. And we do have a couple projects that are going to be starting this year, which since this project has been talked about for the last 6+ years, it's kind of fun to see that we're actually doing something about it. So the first one that you'll notice is if you come into town, we will be doing a roundabout at the Dairy Queen intersection that will be starting this spring. So Highway 5 and Highway 11 heading north, there will be a roundabout being pushed there. That is being led by the city, although it is part of this larger organizational highway project. And that's done for primarily safety purposes. If you're familiar with that intersection, it is quite dangerous. And additionally, we'll have better pedestrian crossing at that location as well. Just kind of moving north on County Road 11, Carver County will also be redoing County Road 11 heading north, so into Carver Park Reserve towards Highway 7. They'll be widening the road there, so if you're familiar with that stretch of road, it's quite narrow, there's a lot of curves. It's my way home, I live in St. Bonnie. So I'm very familiar with that, and so they'll be widening the road a little bit, hopefully allowing for better pedestrians. We have a lot of bikers, obviously, that utilize that road, additional to us car users. And then they're also going to be putting in a trail extension. So currently, if you're familiar with Carver Park Reserve, that trail extension stops. You can go around the park and then around Victoria and eventually get into our downtown. But this trail extension project will get from Flowery Nature Center a direct connection right to our downtown corridor. So that will be fantastic, not only for our businesses, but just people in general who want to get to Carver Park Reserve. They don't have to drive to get there. We do have another roundabout, I know we have quite a bit of them, that's coming in on the south end of town, so Pioneer Trail and Highway 11. There'll also be a roundabout starting this spring on that location. Hello, join us. And then I should have handed these out. I do have, if you're familiar with, or not familiar with these, we do have these transportation brochures. I just have them sitting up on the table that go through each one of the projects in detail, when they're going to be starting, if there's any public engagement left in some of them, when that time frame is, any open houses, things like that, but mostly where their construction schedule is. And then the last project that's starting this year is County Road 18 extension. So we do have a road that's in between Victoria and Chaska and Chan. That's called 82nd Street. It's one of the last gravel roads in our section. Yeah, I know we don't have a lot of those.
Nice.
But it's one of the last gravel roads, so part of that project is paving it, so it will be all the way from Victoria to Chaska being paved. They're also rerouting the road. It is also another curvy road, so they're hopefully smoothing that curve, adding a trail on the side of it. It's just on the back side of Arboretum, I should have said that. So if you're familiar with that backside of the Arboretum, that's where it's going to be located. And the Arboretum's even talking about potentially doing a second entrance to that location, although we're not 100% sure on when that time frame might be looking at. But not only will this road provide them that ability to do that, but it will also be, once we do the large Highway 5 project, it's going to be a relief valve for that. So when we close down Highway 5, people will have a different detour route to get to where they need to go, commuting from Chaska or Chan to Victoria. Like I said, I do have these if anyone's interested. I know I talked a lot, but any thoughts, questions, anything specific? Like I said, I know I just rambled on for like 20 minutes, but.
Hearing no questions. Thank you very much.
Of course.
That
Thank
was,
you for having me.
Yeah, that was action-packed.
We're busy. We
Yeah.
are busy.
How dense is the housing right now? Because Victoria's, you guys pretty much built out?
We are not built out. We have an orderly annexation agreement that was created in 1979, if I remember correctly, that says, you know, this is Lake Town Township.
Right.
And we know these cities are gonna grow that are around us, so it's a partnership agreement with Lake Town Township, Victoria, Waconia, Chaska, and Chan, that said, at the end of the day, when Lake Town Township is no more, these are where these cities are going to go. And because of that agreement, that's giving us more development property, especially heading south, and especially heading west towards Waconia.
Right.
So we have quite a bit more land left to go. And when it's completely done and everyone's built out, Victoria will actually be geographically the largest city in Carver County.
You sure?
Uh-huh.
Because I thought Carver had the most land.
Oh, not at the end. But you also have like Dahlgren in that area as well, heading
Yeah.
south.
I think we have 7,000 acres in Dahlgren.
It'll
Cool.
be fun. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Of course.
Yeah.
So where's the new high school going to go?
I wish.
Well, I was looking at the high school numbers last week, because my parents were in town, and my daughter plays for Waconia hockey, and we were playing Wayzata. And I was like, they're the biggest high school by far in the state. And then I was like, well, how big actually are they? So I started looking. It's about 4,000 students there, and Waconia has about
Wow.
1,300 students.
Yeah, it's not even comparable.
So yeah, a little ways to go probably to feed into the high school there.
What
but,
grade's your daughter?
She is 5th grade.
Okay,
Yeah.
never mind. I have
Yeah.
I have cousins that play for Waconia.
Oh, okay,
They're
yeah.
high school, so.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Anyways, you guys have a wonderful rest of your meeting.
Thank you.
All right. Public input? You're the public, so any
You
input?
guys are doing a good job and keep it up.
Beautiful.
Especially, you do need to grow the Chaska Library. I heard there's plans now for it, but some point you gotta start.
I can hand you a shovel.
I've done that.
All right.
Say D, do we want to have Serena go next with her adult services report? Sorry.
Oh, did I skip it?
No,
No.
Oh.
but just in respect of her time.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have much, I'll go quickly, but you guys should all have a copy of our team report for 2024. We met all of our tasks, goals, and, just gave the county a great showing of programs like we always do. Some of the highlights, we had winter reads had an increase of 32%. And also overall for participation in programs, we saw over a 20% increase. So that was really nice to see that people are kind of coming back after COVID and everything. We're just seeing those numbers go back up. We had a number of author talks. We always feature a lot of Minnesota authors, but we also have some out-of-state people this year as well. We can do that because of our online programming. We have a great tech staff who run those for us. We changed our registration to a 4-week 4 weeks ahead of the programs instead of quarterly. So that, resulting from that, we saw a lot of new people who were coming to our programs. And we also had, for the first time, our craft supply swap, which provided a time for crafters to repurpose any unused or unfinished craft projects. And that was in Chanhassen and Waconia. We already planned more for this year. There was going to be one in May in Chanhassen and October in Waconia. And we couldn't do this all without our great community partners. We have a ton of Carver County partners as well as different community partners. They're all listed there. And what else did I want to say? I mean, we just do a ton of stuff. Yeah, we just set up our goals for next year, and we're really excited to get those in action. Any questions?
No, I don't have a question. Thank you.
Yeah, and if you guys, last year I had my Winter Reads packet, but we don't have a packet this year. But if you're not already registered for Winter Reads, now's the time to register. You get a deck of cards, and let me tell you.
They're large format too, or
Yes.
large print format.
Yeah, you can see those numbers
Okay.
really well.
Yeah.
So how much of your audiences are, I guess, non-English speaking?
That's a good question. I think it varies.
How many, sorry, how much?
Yeah, I think it varies by branch. I would say maybe Chaska sees more of our non-English speaking. In Waconia, I would say it's a very small amount that we see coming in the door and not being able to
So
communicate
if you're
with us.
non-English speaking, like, do we have programs that will accommodate both?
As far
At
as
least the two, I
As far
guess.
as Spanish goes, yeah, we are. That's one of our focus areas. We actually have a Jalki grant that's focusing on that.
Right.
So yes.
I was excited to read about the return of Great Decision, so that had been offered before
At Chanhassen,
at
yes.
Chanhassen,
Yep.
and why was that
Well,
discontinued?
Just lack of attendance.
Uh-huh.
We just were not getting turnout. When I started there in 2018, we were getting like 6, 7 people.
Yeah.
And most of the professors were coming from St. Paul. And so we just didn't think it was worth people's time, energy, effort to come over and talk to 7 people.
Sure.
And it was usually the same 7 people.
Okay.
And so the friends came to me and said they wanted to try to re-energize it. So we did kind of a trial run in September, had I think 12 people, decided that was, a groundswell enough, and we will try it again with 4 sessions coming up this year.
Wonderful. I wish it all the best.
Thank
It's
you.
a great, that's a legendary program.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As someone who doesn't know Great Decisions, could you clue me in? I'm not familiar with it.
Well, I think you're probably
Well,
better
it's
qualified to describe it.
In Minneapolis, St. Paul, there's something called the Foreign Policy Association, and it's primarily professors who teach international relations, and they, as part of this association, they choose 8 topics. They do a guidebook on it, and then they do a little lecture, about half the session, then they lead a discussion.
Oh, cool.
The ones coming up are on artificial intelligence. There's one on Gaza. The one we did, I believe, in last fall was on Ukraine. And so there are ones on China, so they're very timely topics.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is there in the evenings?
We've bounced it around. I think the ones coming up are in the evening, but I just don't remember, Charles, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I did the letters of agreement, you think I would remember it, and I just don't. I mean, that's one of the things we try, is like, okay,
I'm interested in the AI ones.
it's not working Saturday mornings, let's try it in the evening. Then we tried one in conjunction with the senior center, that didn't, it just wasn't getting, it just had lost its mojo.
Right.
And so hopefully it's gonna come back.
Well, it's been around for many,
Oh, yeah.
many years, and it's a national concept, and so I presume there's just a plethora of resources to draw
Yeah.
on, sort of national resources and network, topics, content, best practices, all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
And there's the Edina Library does it, although they do it in conjunction with their senior center, and they share a space. So I think that's one of the reasons the Edina one is so successful.
Right. Yeah.
So we will be hopeful that this works again.
Okay. Well, all the
And
best.
I've gotten great feedback from Waconia patrons saying they don't have to drive as far to go
Oh, good.
because they've been going to the Chanhassen one, so it's great.
And any thought of those being, well, those were undoubtedly virtual during the pandemic, but any thought of making some virtual, given that you're bringing professors in from across the metro area?
My memory, and it could be faulty, which it is they did not want them virtual.
Yeah.
They wanted them in person because it's so heavy on the discussion.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I've been in virtual meetings where they work really well sometimes when you can open it up to the virtual world
Yep.
to discussion, and other times they don't work
They're
as
just a
well.
dud. I agree with you,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Serena.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Serena.
Yeah. All right. On to item 5, and I will kick it to Jody to lead this point because I'm not exactly sure on our policy and procedure and the election of officers and all those things. So,
yeah, this is an unusual year because we need to elect both a president and a secretary for 2025. And I'm looking at Charles because you probably remember more about the process of that. You've been president at one point.
Yeah, I just love the gavel, but then you didn't give me a gavel.
a travesty.
You know I'm gonna have to find you a gavel, right? For next time.
Just kidding.
But essentially between yourselves, you can nominate anyone and they can choose to accept that nomination or not, and then move through the motions and approvals, essentially.
Okay.
Yep.
Is Gwen gone?
She completed her 9 years on the library board.
So you fired her?
No.
See that?
The rules fired her. Yes. Policies and procedures
So
fired her.
what about Jan?
Jan had to step down, unfortunately.
Okay.
So, for personal reasons.
Okay.
I was able to see her at Paul's retirement party a little bit, and she told me to send all of you her love, and that she'll miss being on the board, but she had to step away.
Okay.
So, yeah.
She is active now in the Friends Group in Chaska. So she's not giving it up entirely.
Good.
I wouldn't let her go.
Well,
I nominate you
Oh.
for president.
any other nominations out there?
No competition there.
Drat. Yeah. Okay, well, we have a nomination, hearing no others.
I don't know how it
You're
works.
it.
Yeah, you're it.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
I would call for a vote, just a
gotcha.
yes, no. All in favor of that,
Yay?
say yay.
I
Any nays? Okay, there we go. We do also, however, need a secretary as well.
And I should note, the secretary would step into place if the president
Okay,
is absent or running late or any myriad of things, then the secretary steps up to run the meeting, essentially.
Is the secretary supposed to check the minutes? At one
normally
point,
Paul does that.
At one point, did they,
they took the minutes. Now, I think they took the minutes.
I don't think we do that anymore because we have them recorded, and do we transcribe then, I would assume? Or who transcribes?
I'm taking minutes.
Very nice,
I think
okay.
Paul used to do that a lot.
Paul and I would trade off.
Yeah. So,
I can be
I
secretary.
nominate Stacy.
I can be secretary.
I second the nomination.
Okay.
There
All
was
right.
one person not here. You could make her the secretary.
That's true.
That is true. That's how most meetings I'm in go.
Right? All I'm told.
Okay, so we have a nomination, hearing no others. All in favor of Stacy as secretary, please say aye.
I
All opposed?
So
Madam
did we fill
Secretary.
all the
Thank you,
open
sir.
board position?
Yes,
Better never
well, I
be
should say,
gone.
except for, we are still in need of a student representative.
Right. Also
with the-
Tempe also
Yep, she has, moved off due to her,
conditions.
well, her age. She,
Okay.
Oh, sure.
essentially as a,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Aged out.
I
Um,
want age down.
And
Aged out, yeah.
More policy and procedure, there you go, yeah.
so we're still in need of a student representative, but our other seat was filled as of this morning at the county board.
Oh, who is that?
Wendy Eggers. So I would anticipate she'll join us next month.
And I've not met you. Charles?
Ern Bodvarson, new board member.
Ern?
Ern, yes,
Okay.
pleased to meet you.
Which city do you live in?
Chanhassen,
Okay. I'm in Chaska.
great to meet you.
And one other update, Commissioner Lisa Anderson will be joining us as county board representative. So Commissioner Uterman is stepping away from his duties here and offered it up to Lisa. So, but Commissioner Uterman will still attend and be part of the MELSA trustees board
Okay.
for now, until Lisa gets a little bit more of a foundation
speed,
built.
yeah.
Yep.
All right, well, policy review would be next. I think we have a item that was waiting for us on the table.
Yes, the fines and fees for service policy. So as some of you may be aware, we currently went fine-free as of January 1st this year. So we no longer charge overdue fines for late materials, and we will no longer charge them moving forward. So we needed to address this policy and make some language changes. So I apologize, it's just coming to you today. We had a management team last Thursday, and I wanted to make sure that they had one more opportunity to weigh in and look at it. So in red are our recommendations from the library management team for changes. Essentially, one of the things that we did was went through the policy and eliminated most of the fines or fine words. And then, and so really putting emphasis that there are still fees in place. So trying to turn the focus there. We also, you'll see noted, there's two little bit larger additions in the middle, one of which specifies the day and the time as of when we went fine-free. So we have record of that in the policy to point to. And then also noting there's a little bit larger paragraph that we do still charge for lost or damaged materials. And so wanted to make note of that as well. So I'll give you a moment or two to take a look, but certainly welcome questions or if you need further clarification.
One clarification, so lost or damaged items, the fine will be a fixed level if replacement cost is not known, is that correct? If replacement cost is known, if you can look up what you can purchase the item for through whatever means, that would be the fine, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Plus a processing fee, a small processing fee of $3.
$3, okay. Practically speaking, which fine do you think on average would be higher? The replacement cost or the numbers that are on the schedule for all the different items that could be lost or damaged?
Well, the replacement costs are built right into, typically into the ILS, our software system. So
Okay.
when we pull up a record, say it's $24.99, I mean, it's spelled typically right out in that catalog record.
Okay.
If that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, so if someone has lost a book and you cannot identify what it would cost to replace the book, then there is a fee schedule that you would consult to assess a fee. If the replacement cost is known, I mean, if you go to Amazon.com or whatever and you know what the replacement cost is, I'm just wondering if practically speaking that number will on average be larger or smaller than what are the numbers on the fee schedule.
I would
Do you
say
have a sense?
it's larger, the replacement cost. Yeah, because we're looking at special binding for libraries, which raises the cost of an item as well.
Okay.
And plus processing and all of that, I'd say on the low end, it's probably $25 for a regular book.
Yeah. So, the library could have to absorb some costs, some net cost. I mean, the library could take a loss on some items if the replacement cost is not known and the fee is charged. I'm not known at the time.
Well, by eliminating late fines, the hope is that there won't be the fear of not returning things then, which I would hope would also lower the need to replace items as well.
Okay.
I guess,
So the trade-off, I guess.
Yeah. Well, we'll just test it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
We'll have data after this year.
Right.
I guess my question is how old are these fines? Like, are they like 20 years old? Or
It's
are they like
only-
5 years old?
It's only stuff that is being returned now. We're not clearing old fines.
No, I'm saying the rate that we have put $35, $25, these dollar amounts
Okay.
on replacement fine, on replacement fees,
I
are
see what
they,
you're
how
saying.
old were they set? Were they set 10 years, 20 years ago, or 5 years ago? Is there a time frame?
These are reviewed
So
every
you do
every
adjust
year,
them every
and
so
we
often?
did adjust some of them this year.
And is the only remediation for the patron is to pay the rate or the replacement fine, or can they go out and buy one and bring it to like?
No, they can't.
Right.
Yeah, they have to pay the fee. They're not able to go and buy. It states that
It does,
in this
yeah. I
actually
thought that was a good
specifically.
idea.
Yeah.
I know I saw that, but
Yeah.
I'm just kind of curious, like.
The library has to order the item.
Right.
The initiative has to come from the institution.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also because I think they're looking at specific binding in the book,
Right.
so that they're
Yeah.
durable.
Well,
They
that
must
and
stamp the barcode on
additions
it
and
for-
making sure it's the right,
yeah.
I mean, there's so many variables and factors that, yeah.
Wouldn't it be great? Here's my copy. I went out and bought a copy. Sorry, I
Right.
lost yours.
Yeah. Let the pros handle that one.
Yep.
Great. Any comments on this? It looks really great to me.
I think so too.
Simplified a little bit and clarified in a lot of ways, so.
And of course, you know, we we review policies every 3 years or on a, you know, as needed basis. So if we, even towards the end of this year, not saying we would do this, but if needed, we could bring it back if we noted, oh, we're missing, you know,
Right.
a particular bullet point or piece, or we need to adjust something.
Yeah.
So there's
Yeah.
opportunity there too.
Yeah, we need to let it live and breathe a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do we need to then vote to approve this?
Mhm.
Okay. All right, so I'll look for a motion for approval.
Motion to approve.
All right.
Seconded.
Second, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any against? No? Okay.
Yeah, I just want to say it would be interesting to track the late activity and to track and see how this is working out fiscally for the library. I mean, it's not a huge amount of money, I recognize that, but when you make something free, more of it tends to be done. So that's the only issue here. So tracking the frequency of late returns.
And we have we're in good company because most of the Twin Cities libraries are also fine-free, and there's
Yeah.
a ton of data that they can also share.
Sure.
I was wondering, weren't we like one of the last libraries? Yeah.
Did they
That
both
were still,
flip?
yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yep.
Oh, they did
Yeah.
both flip.
Okay.
So
Okay,
Anoka
cool.
County-
Anoka, right?
Okay.
Fine free as well, so now the entire Mouser region is fine free.
Cool.
Don't we
Awesome.
have also a policy to renew? So technically, you couldn't
Yeah, how
have
does that work?
Automatic
Automated renewal.
We have automatic renewal.
Yeah.
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 so how could you be late bringing it back if it automatically renews?
Yeah, but you're limited on the
Number
number
of
of automatic renewals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is
So I
that one
think,
or twice?
I think you get
Four.
4.
Four?
Yeah.
Wow.
Cool, as long as no one wants it.
Generous.
After 4
Very
renewals,
generous, yeah.
Pretty
you've
generous.
lost it.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless somebody else has put a
Right.
hold on it, or it's a brand new book, yeah. Or your kid, it's sitting in the backseat of your car and you just didn't notice it.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. From a budgetary standpoint, and maybe to answer in part your question, last year I think the fines that we were looking at was around $30,000, if I remember correctly, that
The
we
late-
had
the late-
budgeted.
Okay.
Is that correct?
Probably closer to 35,000.
35, okay,
but,
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I know I was in the ballpark. I was like, I feel like I started with the 30-some thousand.
You're-
So
yep, absolutely.
yeah. So that's the budgetary aspect of what we knew was going to probably go away
Sure.
this year. But
Right.
Yeah, but I did see the $20,000 MELSA increase for this calendar year, so that helps.
yeah.
Exactly.
All right. We don't have any unfinished or new business. Okay. So we will go to team updates. Serena is gone. Jody, budget update.
Sure. So we included both the 2024 budget and the 2025 budget, just so you could gain a perspective of where we're at currently. The 2024 budget will not be fully complete until likely March. It takes several months for finance to work through journal entries, budget amendments, rollovers, any other adjustments. We're waiting for some reimbursements from the Library Foundation and from MELSA as well. So some of those pieces are still yet to hit the budget, so know that this isn't like the final be all. But I think overall, you know, we look good for the year where we have landed. And then it's always interesting to kind of look where we're headed, obviously, in 2025, and any additional funding or changes that have occurred. I gotta get to the right. So as noted in the 2025 budget, we have a little bit additional in MELSA money that's going to be coming in, and that really is a benefit out of the additional RLVSS funding that came out of the state legislature. And so starting to see some of that as well. I think I had noted in my director's report, just some very small bumps. We have a little bit additional in our conference budget that came through. We have our equipment and furniture budget of $20,000 that we use on a rotating basis each year to keep our spaces fresh and up to date. And obviously, you'll see the adjustments made in the fines and fee line items that are going to adjust for fine-free. We've also eliminated fax fees for the year, which you won't see a specific line item for that. But that's something that is in the works as well. So those are really broad brushstrokes. I'm happy to try to address questions, or if I don't have the answers today, I'll get back to you.
I'm going to need a little tutorial on something here. The
Absolutely.
third largest item is cafeteria contributions. What is that? What's a cafeteria contribution?
Those are-
That's health insurance and, yeah. it's-
Cafeteria as in health
Choices,
Got it,
yeah.
okay. Just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So it's all wrapped into our payroll.
Right, got it, thank you.
And Kevin, I should say, watches carefully what you'll see as the short-term on-call STOC budget, which is our sub-budget for our librarians and library assistants that we have on board, so that if we have PTO and need to fill gaps in our schedules. So that's one of the pieces that we always watch carefully, I should say. Other questions? When you and I meet, we can talk more in depthly too.
More detailed questions
Absolutely.
for you, yeah.
Mhm,
No
mhm.
need to take up tonight for that. so.
No, all good.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. Let's see. We've got director's reports, right?
Yes.
All right.
So, I mean, I think the biggest news was going fine-free.
Yes.
I've been hearing a lot of positive feedback regarding that. I wanted to note we've had some big retirements that have occurred. Of course, you all know Paul Erickson, branch manager of the Western branches. He retired on January 3rd. Longtime librarian Sarah Nagel from Chanhassen retired in December as well. And then we have another retirement of Laurel Bradshaw, who is a librarian out at the Norwood Young America branch. So she's retiring at the end of January. In terms of the postings for jobs, I was just gonna briefly update on the branch manager position. Kevin and operations supervisor Jake Manning and I just did first round interviews for for the branch manager position yesterday and today. So we did a round of virtual interviews and we anticipate a second round, hopefully by end of January, early February, so that if all stars align, it'll be pretty tight to get someone in by the end of February, I think, but there's potential. So, but we had some excellent candidates, went really well. So feeling very excited about the possibilities ahead for that.
Do we have any internal candidates there? Just out of curiosity. Good. I have no idea of anybody that works there and that is not directed in any way, shape, or form. I was just curious. It's nice to have internal people that have been there and understand the community or the system or the way the library works. So just curious.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Oh, and one other note on the director's report at the very bottom. And since I put this together, I think we're closer for 2024, closer to a little over 1.4 million total circulation. So it's still an estimate, but as we get closer to running all of the state report, then that'll all get firmed up as well.
A 25% increase in digital. That's
Pretty
wild.
exciting.
Yeah. I mean, I'm part of that.
Amen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same.
And if you were to look at the year before and the year before that, they're up even more. So
Yeah.
25, actually, we're kind of disappointed in that because it's
Okay.
been up 30 the past couple of years.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I mean, I love Libby. Love it.
Yeah. Came in clutch on a gigantic road trip this summer for us. So.
Yeah, I just downloaded a book because I have a flight later this
Yeah.
week, so I'm like, gotta have a book.
Yep. It's beautiful.
Book.
All right. Other directors' reports? No.
That's
sorry.
it for me.
That's
Yep.
it for you?
Unless you have any other questions.
Nope.
Okay.
And then do we move on to the branch reports?
Yeah, if you want to open up your packet, I'll just walk through a few photos with you. Since I'm combining 2 months, I will have 5 things rather than 3. The first one shows our partnership with ACT on Alzheimer's. We did some dementia conversations. We formed a long-term partnership to have someone come in to do consultation on caregiving. So that's very exciting. That was at Chanhassen. The next page has a picture of a bilingual puppet show that was funded by the Dalkey Grant, and we had a nice turnout for that. And then I want to call your attention to, I mean, all this stuff is important, but I can't have you look at everything. On page 4, the bottom picture, we did a nice outreach at Chaska High School, talked to about 100 students about libraries and getting library cards and using downloadable material. Page 5 was our big Light Up Victoria craft, where we had about 150 kids and parents in the building for about in that 2-hour period. And then the final picture I want to show you is on page 7, is our New Year's Day party at Chanhassen, which had 200 kids and 2,000 pieces of glitter.
I saw that picture on social media and I thought, I wonder who has to vacuum that.
Yeah, yeah. We
You
had
call it
three,
Noon Year's Day?
yeah,
Yeah.
I like that.
We had-
I was like, was it a misspelling?
had 3 shop vacs out.
Yeah, I bet. But I bet they had so much fun,
It was
just
great.
being able to
It's
make
always
a
a blast.
mess. Yes, cool.
So that's all I have to share today.
Cool, all right. Kevin?
Well, I also have the puppet show on mine, and I also have outreach to the high school on mine. Let's take a look. We had, over the holiday, on the same day as the puppet show, we had Friends of the Library book sale, and it was hometown holiday for us, so we had the middle school bands come in and play for the group, for all the people. It was hundreds of people came through the door that day. We've been doing some trivia nights. We did some bracelet making for Taylor Swift's birthday. Some game playing. So we've been doing some really fun things.
I'm
Bringing
appalled.
people in. In addition, and I don't have pictures of this, I'll probably put it in for the next one. Chaska Library is part of National Geocaching Hunt.
Oh.
So there's a cache hidden in the library right now, and we've been seeing all kinds of new faces as a result of that. It's a unique one in that it's supposed to be wheelchair accessible, and there's one cache for each state, and we're the Minnesota one.
Oh,
It's real
cool.
cool.
Wow.
And we're in the midst of kind of a remodel of our entryway right now, and I hope to share pictures of that next month with it being done, I hope.
Geocache.
Geocaching, so it's like you use your device to track down its coordinates basically, and it's a treasure hunt, so you try to find where the treasure is, and it's not much of a treasure. You get to claim it. Say that I found it, yeah, and that's about it. But it's fun.
It's like Pokemon.
Kind of like that, yeah, it's kind of like Pokemon Go. Yeah.
Is it true that there's a book sale on February 8th?
There is a book sale on February 8th, yeah, definitely, yeah. The Friends have kind of stepped up their book selling, and they've been having one about every other month. The last one that we had in November brought in over $900. So,
It's so cool.
for a new library, I hope.
Did you ever look at considering doing like a book sale, not in the library, but at the community center in Chaska Community Center? Like at that big atrium?
Moving books
Oh, I bet,
Is-
yeah.
is difficult.
Okay.
Taste of Chaska, River City Days
Mhm.
moved their location and they wanted us to move our sale. No way.
We ended up doing it in Chaska at the library, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and there's been some talk also about throwing some books into a trunk and driving to some of these places, but not an entire book sale, just, it would be way
Too
too much work for the volunteers.
The February one will be primarily nonfiction.
Cool.
I should have added, because I didn't have a picture, we did our Victoria book sale and raised about $500, which is a record for Victoria.
All right. Well, have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, second.
Second,
All right.
all in favor, say
All
aye.
in favor? Aye.
No gavel.
All right.
Thank you.
There we go.
You did it.
I apologize.
Yeah, we made the magic happen.
Sorry guys, I was late.
Hi, sorry I was
Oh,
late.
oh, good.
I got-
I had
caught up in
the
a
distinction
little
of not
break
just
up
being
at
on the library board for Carver County,
Here's me.
I also got to
Amy
do the
Davis.
Chaska Chan basketball game
Appreciate it.
last Friday
Just come and
night.
chat about the library.
Saw Matt there,
I think
which
you're
was
just gonna hold me.
Battle.
Living close by.
That's what I heard, because I had
Yes.
family that was there,
Yes.
so it was pretty exciting, I
I'm doing,
hear.
like, two
It was.
people's job
Buzzer
now,
beater.
so
Are you watching or are you
I'm doing
refereeing
one
or
job,
what?
Refereeing, yeah.
mainly working at home.
Yeah, I was the
Actually,
R, so I was
the
kind of in
building
charge of the
is
deal.
fun. Yeah, just let me know when you're coming by.
I thought we were going to overtime, and then the Chan kid hit a half court.
3 seconds left,
Serious?
right?
She just-
Wow.
Chaska tied it up with 3 seconds left. I'm like, all right, we're going to overtime, 4 more minutes. And the Chan kid cranks in a half quarter, ba-boom.
Dang.
And then we were caught in the melee.
Yeah,
Because both student sections are on each side.
They rushed.
They rushed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I'm looking for our partners to make sure we don't die, right? And then we can't get through to the locker or anything. I'm like, this is great. Okay. Enjoy, kids. Go crazy. So,
It's like the State House.
yeah, right? Today was supposed to be an especially interesting edition of the